why do we study prophecy? Let's get into it real quick. Why do we study prophecy? Well, we learned today from Enoch that we study prophecy because we want to focus in on Jesus Christ, right? We want to focus in on Jesus Christ. In fact, the whole aspect of prophecy is about Jesus Christ. In fact, you could do this exercise. It might take you a while. Prophecies in the New Testament, overwhelmingly, if you study the New Testament especially, about 70 to 80% of them, it's about the coming of Jesus. Like when the Bible speaks of the coming or anything prophetic in the future, it's always about Jesus is coming. Now, there's some details about what's going to happen in the world and things like that, but most of it is about Jesus Christ. So what do we study prophecy? So we can know Jesus Christ, so we can hone in on his coming. Because he told us these things were going to be like this before his return. I couldn't imagine this weekend. I was watching this, and I was talking to Rick about it on Sunday, about the volcano over the Pacific Ocean. Couldn't believe two of them, happened 2 times. Just to go home that day and just start looking at some of what the scientists were saying. I really wanted to see what the scientists would say. I mean, I saw it, and it was just unbelievable. A whole island got wiped out. This island does not exist anymore. I got the name of the island here. What's the name of that island? Hunga Tonga Hunga Hapai. Don't ask me to repeat it again. Sorry, that's not it. What is that island? Hunga Tonga. Yeah, there it is. It has a long name. Hunga Tonga Island wiped out. Why? This massive volcano. 2 times. 2 of them. Satellite photos, incredible. So what did the scientists say? Well, they said, we've never seen this. They said, this is historic. We think it could only happen once every 1,000 years. Every 1,000 years you get something unusual like this. Well, things to be unusual are like almost a weekly event now in our lives, right? Because this eruption sent a 3-mile mushroom. I don't know if you can see it from here. 3-mile mushroom, red hot ash, 12 miles into the air. In the entire, 12 miles into the air, can you imagine? The island of Manhattan is only like 2.5 miles long. So the island of Manhattan in New York. This was 12 miles. 12 miles. And the blast was heard all the way to Alaska, all the way to 6,000 miles. Incredible. Anything like this, the waves all the way to Port St. Louis, to King Cove, Alaska, Washington. People were transported to hospitals out in San Gregorio Beach because of the blast. Now, it reminded me of the book of Revelation. In Revelation, there's 5 times Revelation records earthquakes. And they're all monumental ones, by the way. When you read Revelation, we studied one last Saturday, Revelation 11, the earthquakes. In Revelation 6, it says the earthquakes are going to wipe out islands. Islands will not exist anymore. And I thought, man, what could, you read that in Revelation, you go, I wonder what that could be like. Well, I can have a pretty good idea now of what it could be like on a massive earthquake. Volcanic, could be volcanic, obviously a tsunami. And so that's it. But you know what? A gigantic earthquake is also happening right now. Happening underneath the surface, as it were. We might not see this for a couple of years. Why? Well, whatever the World Economic Forum gets together, whenever they do, which is usually every January, and this time is 17th through the 21st, so we're still going through that. The World Economic Forum in Davos, right? In Davos, they met, and people like Schwab and this gentleman right here, Mr. Fauci, right? And Xi Jinping and Macron and all these guys, right? They met, and this is from a friend of mine. He sent me this email because he was moved by all this, and he was like, he was watching it. And it says, what I heard today, he says, what I saw today from Schwab, from Fauci, from Xi Jinping, from the World Economic Forum, is hard to believe how brazen these people are. These people are guilty of unspeakable crimes, he says, against humanity, and yet they act like nothing. They act like they're gods, and literally they were. They're acting like gods. This is very much the spirit of Antichrist, said a friend of mine. It has very motivated for me to work on other videos. He produces videos, and I think it's needed for a time like this. Warning people what's happening. Well, what did they say? What did they say that it was so bad? Well, they want to tax everybody again some more. So you're glad taxes are going up? Well, they want to tax more people with more carbon penalties. The president of France says we need, capitalism doesn't work anymore. This idea of working and you earning and you making a better life for yourself and your kids doesn't no longer work. It's interesting. I listened to an Obama speech to little kids a couple of months ago, and you listen to it and you kind of tune it out after a while. But you listen to what he said. It was all filled with communistic and godless counsel and advice and language, only to say, what did he say? The old ways don't work anymore. The old traditional ways of America don't work anymore. And what he meant by that is, Christianity, mom and dad, having a family, they don't work anymore. We need other things, other methods. Well, they have other methods. And the kings of the earth gathered together themselves against the Lord and against the Messiah. Tax the rich, they say. Well, the Pope wasn't there, but he was all promoting this, right? He wasn't there, but he was cheerleading it, not too far from there. And he calls for a global wealth tax. That means that if you have any kind of income, he would like a piece of it. Well, maybe for himself. He says for the poor, right? It's for the poor. It always reminds me of this. What did the book of John says about Judas? Remember? What was Judas' role among the 12 disciples? Anybody know who that?
He held the bag.
What kind of bag? The money bag, right? Why did he hold the money bag?
Because he was a thief.
Well, why did he do it from the beginning? Did they say, hey, you're a thief, we'll give you a bag? He was a treasurer. Why was he a treasurer? Maybe that works too, but people that end up working in treasury, secretaries like that, people trust him. Judas was a trustworthy guy. That's the reason why he got the job. Everybody trusted him. And remember, all the disciples said, is it me, Lord? Is it I? I'm going to betray you. Is it I? Is it I? Nobody thought it was Judas. That's the crazy part. But John tells you that when Jesus uncovered him, right? Because he says, one of you will betray me. Tell you who he was. Dipped his hand in the bowl, right? It was Judas. John could say he was a thief and a robber and he pocketed all the money for himself because he always kept saying this money should be given to the poor. Remember the story of the woman who comes to Jesus? She breaks the alabaster flask and she wipes the oil that's in the alabaster flask. Beautiful story, right? Mary, she wipes her tears. She wipes Jesus' feet with the oil, and she, with her hair, is rubbing him, and she anoints his head, anoints his feet. Jesus said, she's done this for my burial. She knew something about Christ, was going to pay the price for sin. He was going to give his life. What was the response of the disciples? What's that? Oh, what a waste. What a waste. Now, there are that story is in all the Gospels, right? And you read it all together. One of them says, Judas said, why this waste? This money should be given to the poor. It was about 300 denarii. It was a lot of money. And, an alabaster flask, from a woman's perspective, right, at that time, would have been her inheritance, her dowry, her retirement, right? Because, the retirement usually for women was to get married. And that retirement usually came from her children or from her husband. But if she was not married, she had nothing except for her father. And her father died. She was usually going to be on her own. And a lot of times, not most of the time, but a lot of times they reverted to prostitution and things like that. But this alabaster flask was given to her, probably from her dad, for her retirement. And she gave it all to the Lord. She gave it all to the Lord. She says, whatever I have is yours. All I have is yours. Give it to Jesus. Why this way should it be given to the poor? Judas said it, but you know what the other gospel says? Some of the disciples were indignant that she did this. They were angry at her. And then Luke says, all the disciples were angry at her. Judas, some, all. What does that tell you? Judas got everybody worked up. I mean, he convinced them, hey, man, what's up with this waste? Why give it to Jesus? Give it to the poor. These guys are Judases. I mean, they were not believers to begin with, but anyway, but they're all like that. In a sense of, give it to the poor. This guy comes up in his creepy video. He proposes more taxes for the poor, he says. He says, for the poor, he says. Well, I would like for him to write a check from the Vatican, one of the wealthiest nation states in the world, by the way. They have more money than almost half the nations in the world. All, you guys know that, right? The Vatican is a state with their currency, an army. Yeah, completely. A bank, incredible. Solvent, huge money, cathedrals, paintings from the Middle Ages. It's absolutely wealthy. Do you think they give to the poor? Do you think he gets off his little golden throne and does anything? No, he pretends to kiss the feet of migrants, but he doesn't really do anything regarding the poor. He just wants you to give to the poor. And of course, don't forget to send money to the Vatican. Same thing for him. Creepy carbon taxes, meaning that, hey, you shouldn't drive anymore. Hey, you shouldn't have your truck anymore. Hey, you shouldn't have your things anymore. The World Economic Forum wants to punish the rest of the world that's still working. So not only had they done this 2019, 2020, 2021 already and destroyed the world's economy through the Great Reset, they want to keep going. The whole idea of global warming, they don't call it global warming. What do they call it? Man-made climate change, right? They want to keep gas and gasoline and natural gas and petroleum away from countries that develop it and need it and use it. And by the way, he praised Australia for their wonderful humanitarian work. Australian government has done just such a wonderful job for humanity. He says that their policies has really kept the virus from spreading. Well, if you've seen what Australia is like, it's a jail, it's a cell, it's basically what it used to be, a penal colony. And of course, the people that are penalized are people that do not comply with what the World Economic Forum wants to do. Then this guy comes along, Mr. Modi from India. What is he going to talk about? India uses a lot of coal. India has a lot of coal, and they use it. He talked about digital currency. Digital currency, yes, the kind of technology associated with, how would I put it? Getting rid of cash. He's talked about digital currency, but he talked about it in a way that they want to get rid of it. They want to penalize people that have digital currency. Why? Because there's only one digital currency that could exist, they say. Central bank digital currency, CBDC. They want to control it. There's been a lot of things about, and people, everybody has an opinion about it, of course, about, cryptocurrency. Who invented it, who did it. You ask everybody, they'll give you 4 or 5 different opinions. The CIA, so-and-so, so-and-so, so everybody thinks they're right. However, we do know this. The World Economic Forum hates it. Governments hate it. One reason only, they can't control it. They won't control it. They haven't been able to control it unless they get rid of it or they're able to strangle those who have it. And of course, they want to have their own digital currency, their own version of it, which is, of course, central bank digital currency. So get ready for the next few years of the World Economic Forum really coming along and wanting a piece of what people have in digital currency. But here's the mother of it all. He comes out and he says, you know what? All these great stuff that's been done over the last 2 years, we need to thank China. We need to thank China, the latest incarnation of the Antichrist, I would say, of the spirit of Antichrist, Xi Jinping, XI, who's going to be on display. I don't know when it is. When is the Olympics? Is it the end of this month or the end of next month? I don't even know, but it's sometime this very, very soon. February? Okay, so we're only a few weeks away. In China, it's going to be in China, and he's going to be, of course, he's going to come out and he's going to be very high up there in the podiums, and everybody's going to be, clapping and making sure that he gets all the accolades, and kind of like what happened in 1930 with Hitler when all the Olympics were in Berlin, and everybody had to bow to the Führer and all that. So anyway, here he is. And China says, you know what? We need to come against people that are, this is his words, fanning ideological antagonism and politicizing the economy. Meaning that if you think that the economy is being destroyed by political measures, then we need to fight against you. If you are against people that are trying to destroy the economy, he didn't say that, but I'm saying it, right? Like through the Great Reset, it said, we need to fight against you. If you are against scientific technology, which he was talking about the virus and how to get rid of the virus, then you are people that we need to fight against. All in all, it was an absolute, it's still going, by the way, if you want to Today's 19th. 2 more days. If you really want to have nothing else to do and you want to vomit for a couple hours, it's a great place to be. Go on worldeconomicforum.com/whatever. It's quite infuriating. But then again, if you really want to pay attention to where the trajectory of the kings of the earth want to take this world to, this is where you go. This is where you go, because in 2019 they were talking about, hey, too many people have way too much money. People are retiring early, and they're living a good life, and that's not what they said, but that's what they mean when they said, all these, these countries are way too rich. We need to take them out of the way and bring money to the poor. Of course, that money never makes it to the poor. Money never makes it to the poor. All it is just political ideologies, right? All it is just tax more people. Third world countries are still third world countries, no matter how much money the World Economic Forum still think that they can give them. All in all, still 3 more days of what they will do. These people are the devil. These people, el diablo. These people are spirit of Antichrist. And they act like it. They act like they are going to save the world. Jesus said, many antichrists are going to come. 1 John says that. Jesus says many messiahs, false saviors, that's the idea of false saviors, are going to come. And they're going to look to him as a savior. They're going to look to him, especially him, which we have known now that, he's got a lot of money involved in all this. It's starting to come out. But anyway.